What's up, everybody? Ryan from Oakland Ghosts, and today we are going to be exploring the 1010music's Nanobox Lemondrop Granular synthesizer by building a patch from scratch. I've had this synthesizer for, well, probably at least a half a year at this point, and I've used it in a number of my songs, but I haven't really thoroughly explored it. I got a lot of my other synths around the same time, and they just kind of hogged my time before I really got to learn my way around this. Honestly, the patches are really great. I've used a ton of the patches and they sound spectacular. So I've tweaked them a bit, and I have made one or two of my own patches, but very rudimentary and very simple. So the hope is today we're going to explore it and we'll get a better understanding of how this synthesizer works and hopefully come up with a really cool patch that we can use for a song in the future. For those of you who don't know, the Nanobox is a line of micro synths, I guess you would call them. You could see, the size of my hand. I got picks here for scale. Tiny, tiny thing, but don't let the microness fool you. This thing is super powerful. It's a granular synthesizer. If you don't know what that is, I'll kind of explain it as we go. Let's just dig in. So for reference, I'm running this into the Deluge, and I'm using the Deluge as my sequencer. It does have its own keyboard where you can play stuff. It's polyphonic, so you can do chords. You can also just hold notes. So that's a very basic keyboard, but it doesn't have a sequencer, although I did figure out a trick. I should rephrase that. It has a sequencer, but it doesn't have a sequencer in that like you can program notes in. It does have a sequencer you can use for modulation though, and we can use that to kind of trigger notes, I figured out. So maybe we'll explore that a little bit later too. But to get started, we're gonna go to the main menu here. We're gonna go to a new preset. So I'll just go down and I'm gonna say load. And this new preset is basically completely blank. The filters are off. The envelopes are all, high attack, short release, very quick. Let me start by saying this. So here's what we got. It's got two different granular voices. It's technically a 3-voice synth, but 2 of the voices are actually granular synthesizers. So let's go back actually. So if you click on those, here's one. And then if you use this little button here, there's a lot of menu diving on this thing because it's so tiny. If you hit this stack basically goes through these little 3 dots here. So this would go to the second sample that we could load in. And then there's also an oscillator, and it's got, your typical stuff. It's got a triangle, square, sine, and a noise, and a saw as well. So you can you could technically not put any samples in and just run this. So I could show you what that would sound like. So I'm just going to turn the level down on the samples real quick. Let's just turn that down. Go to the second one, turn that down. And we'll just leave the triangle on. So there you go. And there we just have a, simple triangle. So you could just use this as an extra monosynth. Well, not monosynth because it is poly, but you could use it as an extra VCO basically to just make traditional sounds. But that is not how this thing shines. Let's go back. I think for now, actually, let's turn off. We're going to turn off the oscillator. We'll go back to the first. Let's go back to the first sample. So when you load a new preset, it just takes the first sample in the list. On this particular thing, that's one called 10 o'clock, which sounds like a bell tolling to me. But I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click here. And now we can, if I click play, we can kind of go through the sample list and we can pick a sample that we want to use as the basis for our first granular synth that we're going to make. Most of these are samples that are stock on this thing. There's a ton of samples built in, but you could load your own in. You can also record directly in. You could even actually patch, and I've done this on a couple songs. I could even patch one of my modulars in. I could patch it into this and do it live, use the granular engine live. I think let's just, for simplicity, Sure, let's load that guy. The way granular synthesis works is it loads your whole sample in there. And now the way it's set up right now, if I hold it, it's just playing through that sample. It tries to match the pitch. What we're going to do is we're going to set, right now the playback is moving, and that means, as you can see, the playhead, it's going through directly through the sample. We're going to switch that to fixed. And you can see it's just vibrating. And the way that we can control that, first we can, with this, I'm going to scroll down so I can get, okay, cool. I'm going to change the play position so it starts kind of somewhere else in the sample. So what it's doing is it's grabbing a very quick sample or a grain from the sample that we made and just repeating it really, really fast. That's what's happening right now. So what we're going to do is I'm just leaving the play position there. I'm going to make the window bigger. And what that's going to do, as you can see, now it's grabbing that sample from all over. It's not just sticking to that one place. Right here, I'm just going to lay down a thing and I'm just going to let it play so we can figure this out. All right. So this is making the window that it selects that sample from a little bit bigger. I think I want, let's do some other stuff too. I'm going to change this to ramp. It's just the way that it samples. Okay, now this is how many samples it takes. So now it's taking less samples, which is kind of cool because now we're getting like a rhythmic thing. This is the size of the grain, so it's how, if it's smaller, it's a smaller sample that it's taken from the sample. If it's bigger, it gets bigger and bigger, right? This is kind of cool. I like this. It's like kind of rhythmic. You can almost make a beat out of this. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to go and I'm actually going to make a kit real quick. I'm just going to lay down a kick so we have a tempo. And the other thing I can do is I can come up here and I could beat seek it. So let's turn that on. So right now I haven't modulated anything yet. I think kind of just right around there. And this is just with one sample. Remember, we can bring in 2 samples. This is kind of cool. I like this though. I'm going to mess with the envelope a little bit. I'm just going to give it a little velocity and I'm going to give it more of a release. Maybe a little bit of a more attack. That's the second one. I'm not doing anything with that. I like it. Okay, right now I have some chorus on here. I might actually turn that off a bit. Maybe around 8. So let's go back to the home page real quick. So I'm clicking on effects. There's 2 effects channels. The first one you can select from a couple things. Right now we have it on chorus, which I kind of like. The second one is I have set up as a delay. You can either do delay or reverb. I haven't turned it on yet, but this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to mess with the delay. I think let's turn ping pong on and let's turn beat sync on. And anytime you see these little squares over here, that means you can modulate it. So I can modulate it with an LFO. I can modulate it with an envelope, a sequencer, all kinds of cool things. Actually, yeah, you know what? Let's mess with that sequencer. So, yeah, I got an idea here. Let's try something. See if we can make a little bit of a pattern on this first one. So I'm going to go up to pitch. And on this, I'm going to click over, and that's going to allow me to modulate it because I'm going to fill one of those squares. Let's set the source to sequencer. And we're going to say 100%. Boom. Okay, so it's in here. We go to the sequencer. So this is the sequencer, right? And basically, I can go in a couple steps. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4. So probably here. Let's try to. So right now, I think I can quantize this. Let's see if there's a way. Yeah, here we go. Let's turn quantizing on. I don't even know what key trig is. Okay, so each step length is a quarter of a note, and there's 16 steps. Sweet. All right, so let's go back here. See if we can make a little pattern. 1, 2. Hear that? So I got a little. Da, 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 da. I like it. I like it. Okay, I'm not going to add any filters just yet. Actually, you know, let's do it. Why not? Maybe do like a band pass. Turn it on. So in the filters, you got low pass, you got high pass, you got band pass, and you got notch. I think band pass sounds kind of cool. You can also even just, it's a touch screen, so you could even just do this, which is pretty rad. I'm thinking it might be cool to modulate this. Yeah, let's modulate this with an LFO. Let's say LFO 2 for now. And I don't think the LFO is doing anything yet, but oh, it is going. Let's use LFO 2. I want to do a sine wave. I think do a beat sync. Yeah. So now it's just kind of sweeping. I'm going to go back to, what was I modulating there? I was modulating the filter, so. Yeah, I think bandpass is where it's at. Now we're just getting a little sweep as that's going across there. I think we can probably make it a little less. So this is how much this is like an attenuator of how much of the LFO it's going to actually do. So let's play with the position, maybe the window. I'm gonna randomly pan it too, why not? So I think the window's probably too big. Let's kill the window a little bit. This is just giving it some variation. All right, I'm gonna go in and I'm actually gonna add some, just so we have a sense of like what the pitch is. I'm going to go in here and I'm just gonna, maybe a saw. Let's turn up the oscillator a bit. I'm gonna pitch this down a bit maybe. So obviously, you know, 12 steps would be about an octave down. And this is just going to give us a drone in the bottom there. Let's add the second one. See if we can find a sound in here. So I'm going to go, once again, I'm going to go here. You know what, stop it for now. Let's see if we can find a cool sound. So, once again, I'm going to hit play and I'm just going to see if I can find a cool sound. And I mean, as you can see, there's just hundreds and hundreds of samples in here. I mean, sure, let's try it. You never know what you're going to get when you start this, so yeah, let's give it a try. I'm going to send it to a fixed position as well, because right now it's moving. Just adding some nice movement to it. Now jitter is kind of randomly. This is when it kind of goes chaos. If you do, it'll just go all over that window. I'm gonna add a little bit of that. So this is just adding like a little bit of sparkle. Send this, the volume of this, to the LFO2. know if I want the pitch to be changed. Just going an octave down on the Deluge. This is sounding pretty cool. I wonder what other kind of... I'm gonna send this to an envelope, why not? Let's try turning the chorus up a bit. Let's try it with a flanger instead. Yeah, this is sounding pretty cool. It's cool that we're getting like a rhythm thing. It's got that kickback in. And now, since I have this in the Deluge, I can also add effects to my audio track here. So let's add a little bit of reverb. Delay. Maybe bit crush it a little. Nah. Just playing with the filter a little bit. Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. I think we've done it. So yeah, I mean, there's the Lemondrop. There you have it. It's a pretty simple, amazing little synth. Obviously, we can blend these a little bit until we're happy with where we like it. Maybe we want the rhythmic part down. And we just like this. Let's try seeing what it sounds like when we're not just playing a single note. Right now, I'm just holding a single note. I'm just holding a low C. Yeah. Well, heck. There you go. There you have it, kids. There you have the 1010 Music Nanobox Lemondrop. And as you can see, you can get pretty crazy pretty quick. I mean, this is just really just goofing around and I think we got a pretty cool sound going. Thanks for joining me. I hope you learned a little bit about the Nanobox. I hope you are witness to its micro power. My plan is to build kind of patches from scratch on all my different gear and then ultimately culminate in making a song from scratch using those patches from scratch. So we'll learn a little bit about each of the synthesizers and explore them a little bit, and then ultimately get to making a song with those sounds. If that sounds exciting, make sure to hit that subscribe. Thanks for joining me. Ryan out.